Hi guys, Martin from Belief. I'm going to talk to you very briefly about one of the AI developments that we've been working on for the better part of 2.5 years. In fact, we first announced what I'm about to talk about 2.5 years ago, talked about it on LinkedIn and things like that. And that was an autonomous system that effectively replaced a broker. Our early systems didn't have the processing power to make real-time phone calls, conversational phone calls, and it was limited in terms of its CRM integration. However, BeNet, which is an AI we've run for about 12 or 13 years maybe. It's evolved significantly, obviously, since the introduction of open source, freely available large language models. But the system itself, 3 weeks ago, it would have been a big deal. Like 3 weeks ago, we could have talked about this and people would have been excited about it. Even in just 3 weeks, the significance of what we've done is nullified, but it's still significant, and it's significant to those clients that we've got that might want to integrate this maybe towards September. So what does it do? BeNet is a fully self-sufficient, self-contained, self-hosted AI system that basically runs your operation. We've still got people in the industry that think CRMs are worthy of development, and while that is true to a certain extent, the CRM systems, that kind of human interaction, is going to be old hat maybe within, well, it is already for a number of industries. It's just the broking industry, the finance industry broadly is very slow to catch up with new tech. So what does this system do? Fully integrated. It's the only way it can be compliant is to have a fully integrated CRM. We used early versions of NVIDIA's self-hosted systems. It's run on a Linux system with good graphics cards and things, so it's got necessary processing power to make real-time phone calls. How does it make real-time phone calls? All NBN connected households now effectively run their telephone systems through VoIP. So instead of running the you can add multiple telephones. Most people don't know you can add half a dozen telephone numbers to an NBN line through your existing telco provider. And what we did is we just add 2 dedicated phone lines and plug them straight into this PC. So the system itself was capable of making real-time phone calls, all managed, all recorded, all integrated with client notes and so on. It's that part of it is significant, but the significance of it comes from the evolution of AI agents, which is now sort of making news. So what will an AI agent do? It will take control of your PC and effectively perform tasks for you. AI is evolving in ways that are so significant. It's like the tech Cold War. There's an arms race, and AI is the weaponry. At the moment, it is a battlefield, and you've got all these big tech providers doing all sorts of things, throwing products at people for free just to get the exposure and user base. It's massive, right? Now, I personally think in the finance operation, it's an objective opinion, I think, and that is you can't have external systems manage financial data with the risk of data breaches and various other types of intrusion, so it has to be self-hosted. The only way of doing this properly is having a self-hosted system connected via protected NBN connection and running your facilities through that, and that's exactly what we've done. BeNet now will do, it's trained on Sales Tracker, it's trained on Mercury, it will process, it will do the job of half a dozen, maybe a dozen support staff, and it will cost you a PC and an NBN connection. Obviously the system itself has to be maintained. That's a bottleneck, I guess, is that it is a computer that has to be running, but Linux servers run websites and all sorts of applications all the time. I don't think you want this sort of stuff hosted in the cloud. What else can it do? You can open up your application. I was just about to pull out my phone. Basically, we've got an Android application with a big green button. It turns to red when you hit it, and then when you finish talking to the app, you hit the red button, and you give BeNet an instruction. Connects directly to your own hosted PC, and you give it instructions to call somebody. You give it an instruction to send something to social media, which it manufactures in real time as an image and sends it to applicable social networks. It We'll create articles for your website. It will do anything you want it to do. Certainly within the Yabba environment, it's trained on Yabba fully, so it integrates with that database, so it's got access to all those resources through all the APIs, and it's able to perform any social and administration task. The significance of this is it does eliminate processing. Potentially, all you have to do is effectively go in and check the work that has been completed for you. This is a big deal, guys. Like we're for the cost of maybe $5 or $6 grand, we'll have to look at the consumer grade cost of the hardware necessary to run this stuff, because it is resource heavy and resource hungry. For the cost of $5 grand, sort of once off, maybe a bit more, and zero cost in software or anything else, it's yours. You'll own this piece of technology in your own office. It replaces at least 6 to 12 people, possibly more. It'll make phone calls for pricing. It'll make phone calls for follow-up. It accepts document uploads via any means. It will accept a driver's license as a picture on a mobile phone, and then translate that. Obviously, it's bread and butter stuff. We've had a couple of brokers talk to me recently and say, "Oh, this system, you can take a picture of a driver's license and it pulls out the name and all that sort of populates a form." You know, we've had an OCR tool that does that, and it's AI powered for maybe 5 years. That's sort of bread and butter stuff. What I'm talking about is very next gen stuff. It's very disruptive, and it's not good for the industry. Now, I think this is the point of the conversation. I think we need to get ahead of this, because as soon as somebody starts using it, when everybody else is not, so those really early adopters, whether it be our tech or others, and I know other people are working on the same thing. I within a week, you'll hear from 2 more people I know of, I've met up with and spoken to. So I think once those early adopters have access to this tech and start using it within their operation, despite the fact that compliance is still a concern, I'll talk about that in a second, they'll take ownership of the industry. There's no limit to the number of phone calls they can make. Telephone canvassing for financial purposes is not permitted. However, the system itself is capable of making hundreds of phone calls a day without arrest, without smokers, without coffee breaks, without anything. And whilst it's doing that, it will process deals. It'll follow up on file uploads. It'll send emails to lenders. It'll evaluate scenarios. It'll do everything better than every piece of technology that is currently available. Why am I talking about this today? Well, we gave a demo we're in the Google offices last week, and I gave them a demo, a couple of friends of mine. I got a second cousin that's the head of search, sort of for the South Pacific region, and they weren't impressed. Here I was thinking that we were going to show them something they hadn't seen before, and they took me aside and showed me their systems, which are mind-blowing, right? They're staggeringly good. And they make our system, what we've put together, what we've hacked together from open source systems and sort of plonked together into a single PC. It's like comparing a Ferrari to a Mini Moke. There's just absolutely no comparison. So I know that these systems are going to be evolved via cloud-based services, and I don't think that's the way we want to go, because it relegates or hands over control of the industry to big tech. And I think we want to avoid that. We want to avoid technology taking control of our industry for as long as we possibly can, because if you control the technology, you control the industry. Sadly, we've seen that multiple times with Apple owns music distribution, Google owns video distribution, streaming services own cinematic and TV distribution, and so on. So will consumers adapt to it? That's a big question. It's a real big question. At the moment, we're kind of the Netflix guys walking into the Blockbuster office and saying, "Hey, do you want to buy our system?" Or we're Google, we're Sergey and Larry walking into Yahoo offering them Google for $1 million. That's where we're at right now. But with the speed of AI as it is, we are potentially, the 40 years of development of IT thus far, we're probably going to see in the next 3 months. So we're at the ground level, and we need to accept that consumer sentiment will change. Consumer behaviour absolutely will change. Those people that say we always need to talk to a broker, I think that's the wrong attitude. I think that the approach we need to take is what can we do as an industry to ensure that consumers always need to talk to a real person. And hopefully we have legislation that sort of protects that relationship and that arrangement. If you're on the ASIC mailing list or the media release distribution list, you would have realized that half of everything that goes out now has an AI element into it. And the ABA had a seminar last week, and there's a podcast with a recording of, I forget who it was, but was talking about the impact and disruption that AI can potentially cause to the industry and how we're going to legislate that or ensure that consumers are protected from charlatans, because with the technology as it is, you can have some office based in India effectively setting up the biggest aggregation / brokerage in the country. It's like I said, guys, the technology is seriously disrupting, and the mortgage industry, and it does frustrate me a little bit, is very slow to catch up, and they're very slow to adopt a change, and they're highly resistant to competing arguments. Sorry, that's the dog barking at me, little Millie. So the mortgage industry is just slow. I mentioned once before, I met up with a couple of ags, maybe over 12 months ago, 18 months ago. Two ags that are closely connected, one sub-ags onto the other and so on. And we talked about AI. I showed them demos of our early systems that we introduced over 2 years ago. And the metaphorical Titanic, they said, well, we just have to, because I say the metaphorical Titanic because we're on this steam-driven platform at the moment, and we're driving into an iceberg, and we can see it. We know it's there. We're just not doing anything about it. And they said, one guy said, we just have to pick the smallest iceberg in the ocean. I don't know what that meant. The other guy said, laughed and said, we just have to invest in bigger life rafts, which was probably closer to the truth. And that is, we just have to invent something or design systems on the periphery that protect the future of the industry, because it is under threat and no one seems to take notice. Remember, that adoption by consumers has been proven multiple times. Everyone said, we always want to go to Blockbuster. We always want to go and have our photos developed locally. And that was true until technology caught up and pixelation made, that's pixelation density in HDR cameras, made traditional film kind of obsolete. Everyone said, like I said, we want to go to Blockbuster, and then people realize you can get 100,000 titles off Netflix, or 10,000 5-year-old movies from Blockbuster. And it's interesting because I did consulting to Video Easy back in 2009, I think, at around the time they were looking at purchasing Blockbuster. And that's a whole other story, because I advised them against that at that point. SBS had announced within 5 years we're going to have our own streaming platform. I think they started in about 2014 or something. But it was very clear, if they were going to purchase that particular brand, they were going to buy it for distribution. I said, set up JB Hi-Fi, stop selling DVDs. You've got shop fronts, you've got business owners, you've got a good brand, do something with it. They went the other direction and decided to sell videotapes, which was just the dumbest thing on earth. Anyway, that's beside the point. Our system, we demoed to a bunch of brokers, about 15 brokers, last Wednesday at the Hilton, which was an AI event. We only spoke for about 15 minutes. It was a guy from Google, a friend of mine from Google that spoke, and a gentleman from Microsoft, or former Microsoft, is now a consultant. So we just talked about AI in general and the impact on finance. We gave a demo of our system. It blew everyone in that room away, but objectively, our system is not nearly as threatening to the industry as those systems that are being built by others. And what they want to do, like I said, is take control. So we have to, possibly through the MFAA or FBAAs, invest in our own style of technology, so we stop having a reliance on these people and on these larger organizations that seek to undermine our position in the market. There's a lot to be said about this, guys. I'm giving some demos of BeNet. over the next couple of weeks, so you might hear a little bit about it. I'm meeting up with a finance journalist tomorrow to give a full demo. But there it is, guys. It's a complete replacement for your office. It'll do your job, and sadly, it does it better. Right? It doesn't get tired. It doesn't sleep. It doesn't make mistakes. Well, it does make mistakes, and that's one of the problems at the moment. Is you always need humans to evaluate what it does. But it will make phone calls. It will accept phone calls. It will take inquiries. It will follow up your Facebook leads. It will create social media posts, create articles on your website. It'll modify your website. We've given it access to the back end so it can make some certain types of modifications. It does everything, right? AI agents are a month old now, right? At least the big players in the market. We used a very older open source model, which wasn't great. As soon as we have access to these new tools, we can obviously elevate our experience. Excuse me. We can obviously do bigger and better things, but I just want the industry to have its own solution, its own technology. I don't want the industry to die a slow death like a whole bunch of others, because at this point, I will say it is absolutely inevitable. Like, unless we intervene right now, the industry will not exist. I can't put a time frame on it, because 3 years ago I put a time frame of 2 years, and here we are. The industry is growing, but that again is more a function of my optimistic predictions with the evolution of the actual tech. But right now, it's evolving faster than I can keep up personally. Domenico right now is in San Francisco giving a presentation on AI. He's probably one of the smartest guys well, I would say, yeah, he's the single smartest financial AI expert in this country right now. And we're fortunate that we have access to him. I speak on behalf of all our clients, and he's not real. His availability is limited because he's just so busy with other stuff that we do. But I am looking at getting him in a room and getting 50 brokers in that room. 50 brokers is enough, because what he says will carry through the industry very quickly. Everything spreads like wildfire here. There's no secrets. So that's probably enough people to sort of create that early saturation and scare people into actually doing something. If you want to have a talk about this, or if you want to set up a one-on-one demo, I can come out to your office if you've got a large enough number of people. When I say one-on-one, that's one to many. I'll give a demo to larger groups, and you can look at how you might implement this tech yourself. It's very easy to set up. You can do it in a day, and it's more effective, more powerful than these brokerages that have 30 offshore staff, which itself is problematic. You should never have offshore staff. It's a whole other discussion. And people that employ social media and marketing guys and everything else. That now is obsolete. By the way, this system will create Facebook ads. You tell it to create an ad via the application. Hey, BeNet, do this. Hey, BeNet, send this person an SMS, or follow up on this person, or enter this in a market. It does virtually anything. So if you want that demonstration, give me a call, 0400 777 300, or send me a text message. Our office number is 1300 235 433. It's 1300 Belief. Visit our website, and I will try and get some information on our website relating to this stuff. I don't want to give too much away in a public way. I prefer to do it in a personal setting. But certainly our website at beliefmedia.com.au. If interested, we're having a massive sale on our website framework, and there's never been a more important period in the finance industry to have a really good digital presence than right now. Again, guys, 0400 777 300. Give me a call. Thank you. Bye-bye.